I just went across to the Hobby Lobby and I've just seen a bunch of people posting GIFs and memes of people waiting. So I guess we always take longer than we expect, but I guess we took extra long today.
Yeah.
Welcome to Beers and Banter. This is a Hobby Homies podcast where, I mean, again, the name is self-explanatory. We drink beers and usually just talk whatever comes to our mind. It's usually hobby themed because this is a Hobby Homies podcast after all, where we talk
We'll
wargaming,
talk about
board
something.
gaming.
About something current from the week that we've been up to, or it's more like what we're up to, or locals, or people in the Discord are doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll let them behind the curtain. The formula of this is we usually record our main episodes on a Wednesday night, which we would then release on the Sunday.
Yep.
And then after we've done recording, sometimes those episodes take a bit of preparation or a bit of work from us to get them all organized and ready to go. So after that, we usually just kick back on our own with a couple beers and just talk our pea brains into exhaustion.
Exactly. Dude.
And we're at the moment with lockdowns and stuff and just being super busy dudes in general. We actually don't get a ton of time to just kick back with each other and talk hobby like we used to when we lived down the road.
Yeah.
So that's what this is. This is following on from a live episode, so we've actually got a ton of Discord users in here with us chilling out. So it's like a big old beers and banter with all the lads.
Yeah.
And
so many people have been
females,
sticking around. What?
And females.
True.
True.
So many people have been hanging around, which is surprising, but exciting.
It is. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alcoholic, Foggy, Dave, his mouth dripping with rice. Is that going to say? Flies. Close enough. Human Tryhard, Jace, MJ, Moose, Rory, Shaz, Test. Test Dummy, or Test the Duck Egg Green Lawmaster, the keeper of all Hobby Homies lore.
That's him.
I'm curious, Shane, just quickly, as we start all these episodes similarly.
Yep.
What are you drinking and/or what is the last thing you've painted? Like, what's on your hobby table?
Okay, so last thing I've painted is I've been working my way through my Necrons. So I've finished 5 warriors, like done.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to tabletop.
Yeah,
and
of course. They were Necrons.
Yeah, they're silver, dude.
Yeah.
And on my hobby space right now, I have another 5 warriors, 3 destroyers, and 1 destroyer lord. Scorpec destroyers, the new spidery leg boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey?
Yeah. Your Necron collection, I don't want people to get confused. Shane's not a new Indominus only Necron. He's an old school Necron guy. I mean, Necrons was his first army since 7th edition. 90% of your Necrons are the older models.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are your first ever painted models and based models.
They really are. Yeah.
So I remember a while ago you were giving some of the old bases a bit of a touch up and stuff, which is cool. But now you're hitting your Indominus, you said.
Yeah. I sort of started rebasing the warriors. I just did it on my own whim because I thought 25 mil bases when their feet hang over each edge was a bit stupid.
Yeah. They really crammed them onto those bases,
Didn't they? I don't know why. Maybe it was just like that's what troop size was or something. There must have been some reason, right? But now the standard is 32 mil, so I'm glad I started rebasing them. But I look at these old warriors, man, and like I can see the brush strokes like in the paint. And
real?
They're bad, but like they're my first minis that I painted, and they're in a whole unit. They're done, so I don't really care too much. I'll make up some sort of dynasty lore, the fact that why half of them are painted differently than the other half. Some bullshit.
Sure. Easy, dude. I mean, the others were just a little bit further underground than the rest of them. So
exactly, dude.
Done.
Yeah,
that's sick, man. That's cool. I can't wait to see your Indominus stuff. Yeah. It'll be great to have them next to each other, and like I want to see like because in my head your first models were awesome because like for me back then I painted like 1 or 2 models for an army and I was like I'm exhausted. But you had like I don't know how many thousands of points of Necrons you had like tabletop. So it was the warriors. You had a Ghost Ark. Yeah.
2 Ghost Arcs, Catacomb Command Barge.
Yeah. You had like
Wraiths.
a painted army. I was like, oh my God, it's amazing.
Yeah, like fully painted, I had like at least 1,000 points, probably more.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting there slowly, slapping these together. I think I counted. I think I've got like 4,000 points of Necrons or something like that, maybe more.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's
dope.
what I've been working on. And I'm drinking. Now I've been drinking the Moondog Old Mate, which is a pale ale. But I picked up a 6-pack of the lager, Moondog Lager, which is very nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Bit different.
Shane and I have a contrast of beers, I think. We're on the same spectrum. I mean, we're all on a spectrum. But you and I are on the same beer spectrum. But if you've got the center, which I would say the center is pale ales, right?
Yeah.
And then the far left is like, I'm trying to think of which side. I'd say the far left is like IPAs, or even sour pale ales, you know. And then the far right is like lagers and drafts.
Yeah. What about dark ales? Where do they come in? Oh, further right.
Ugh. I mean, great question, because like some dark ales are more IPA-ish in their strength. Yeah, I don't know, man. Almost like they're like the greens.
Yeah.
They're just like a party, the third party out on the wing.
Yeah.
But I feel like you sort of sit between pale ales and lagers, and I sit between pale ales and IPAs, I think.
Yeah, but like, I mean, you're not going to say no to like a dry.
No, I wouldn't say no to. There's very few beers I would say no to, VB being one of them. Yeah. But I smacked a Carlton Draft just before I started on these IPAs, so.
Oh yeah.
You know, I guess we've got eclectic beer tastes. Some would say that's no taste, but some would say that's great taste. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Any kind of beer. I mean, as long as it's not cider.
How do you rate the lager compared to the pale ale?
Not as highly. I think I prefer the pale ale.
Yeah.
The lager, solid. I feel like it might have a richer taste.
Okay.
Yeah.
More of a savor.
Yeah.
A savor lager.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. This one especially. But yeah. Yeah, it's great. Like, don't get me wrong. I've already drank 2 of them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Whoa, settle down, dude. Settle down.
And the rest.
It's a Wednesday night, man. Hold on.
I started on the old mates before this.
Yeah. There you go. Fair enough.
Yeah. What are you drinking, and what are you working on at the moment?
Well, as we've mentioned on the Sunday episode coming out, we referenced a few times my Rebels. I've been working on the Rebels. It's a big win for me because I don't want to count them up, but I think there's about 34. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's about 30 models there that I've gotten to. They're finished apart from their bases.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I want to do some more research on the base sizes and legalities, and so I got some plans. But anyways, I completely finished 30 units, which is probably more models than I've actually ever painted. If I think about it, I'm trying to think about all the models I painted. It'd be close to 50. Yeah. And I just did these 30 in like 6 hours. And it's actually got me super hyped because I'm like, if I can do this, when I put them on the shelf next to all my unpainted stuff, I'm like, it's actually a fair chunk. So it's got me pretty hyped. I'm going to finish off the Star Wars as I finish building my last few custodes, and then I'm just going to slam them with the airbrush because, let's be honest, they're gold. No dramas.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pumped. I have taken a little bit of a break since slamming these dudes out and took a day off, so forgive me.
Oh, well, you've done 30, man. That deserves a little bit of a break, but I kind of find it funny that, well, I mean, funny is probably the wrong word to use, but you said you've painted 50 models, but then you've painted 30 in like 6 hours.
Yeah, sorry, I meant previous to painting these 30, I'd probably only ever finished 50 in my life.
Yeah, but still, it's like you did more than half of that in a quarter of a day.
I know. And it was because I changed how I viewed painting, I think. Because I always wanted my models to, if someone walked past and picked it up, that they'd look at it and go, hell yeah, dude, this looks great. Like they pick a troop buff from the middle of the squad. I wanted that to look elite, like above tabletop. And that's when I was, spending like 5 to 6 hours per mini. And I was like, I just care so much more about building lists and playing the games and churning lists. And like, I'm more of a competitive player, I guess. Not even actually. I like the narrative side. I just want to get painted models on the tabletop, roll some dice with them, drink some beers, have some fun.
Yeah.
But again, I want them painted.
But so with that, like, no one's going to pick up your miniature and say, dude, this is terrible. Like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Because
exactly.
No one, for a start, no one is like that much of a dick, right? And then at the same time, if it was that bad, you'd be so ashamed of it, you'd probably melt it in the microwave.
Yeah. And not to mention, like, I think previous to now, it was my own ego. I was like, I gotta paint good shit. So when people pick it up, they're like, oh, fuck, so good. And I was like, you know what? That's not important. If they picked up my Rebels and went, I mean, this guy could do with some edge highlighting, I'd be like, I actually don't care enough about this one dude that might rotate out of my list eventually.
Yeah.
To, like, whatever you say about him, I just don't care, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, if he looks trash, he looks fine from 6 feet away. I'm happy to play games with him. I think I'm just more in my own hobby skin. You know, when you go through your teenage years and you just care so much about what other people think.
Oh, true.
I feel like I was in my teenage hobby years where I cared so much about what people thought of my models.
Yeah.
And now I'm easing into my own skin and I'm just like, you know what? I like them. Fuck you if you don't.
Exactly, dude. And that's sort of how I paint. I paint to like what I like, a level that I like, like I'm no Golden Demon winner and I probably never will be, but like, and I never expect to be able to paint that well, but I paint to a point and a style that I like. My edge highlights are pretty chunky and sometimes it looks cartoony, but I like it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You can tell me everything is wrong with it, but I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you best believe I will too. I'll pick up your Necron models and be like, I didn't realize you were so bad when you first started out. God, I don't know if we can be friends anymore, Shane. You'd be like, bitch, I have a painted army. What do you got? A couple rebels?
30 rebels?
Hey, man. Knock my rebels. My rebels. That's all I have. Look, we talk about 40k a heap. Let's be honest.
We do.
And it's funny. I was re-listening. Can I hear my own child in my microphone? I don't know if you guys can, but I've got like a little thing where it everything that my mic picks up, it replays into my headphones.
Okay. Yeah.
I can hear my child crying. So
I can't hear. I actually have never heard. I thought Link just didn't cry. I've never heard him cry.
It's very rare. Like, this is probably the 5th time I've heard him cry.
Not bad.
In 3 months. I think that's pretty good. He sleeps through the night. Most people with kids absolutely hate me talking about Lincoln, which is a good sign that he's an angel. So
yeah.
I forget what I was saying. We talk about 40k a lot. There's some new things that have been flagging with me, and that's board games.
True.
There are some bloody good Kickstarters kicking right now. I want to say it was MJ that said the new Blood of Plunder Raise the Black game was out. Blood and Plunder? Did she mention that in the Discord, or did I
think so. Yeah, I know she did, but Final Dinosaur also mentioned something about it.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a Kickstarter out for Blood and Plunder Raise the Black, and I jumped on Kickstarter, and when I did, I saw a heap of other cool stuff that I didn't quite realize was even being invented, let alone currently up for Kickstarter.
Okay.
So, first of all, you and I have frothed pirate games from the beginning.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And Blood and Plunder, I don't know anything about it, but it looks like you have all your crew loaded up on a ship each, and it looks like you have a bit of ship combat, crew combat thing. Yeah. There's all these hard plastic sailor models with weapon and head options.
Yeah.
And there's 2 massive ships, like big enough to fit, 20 dudes on. And yeah, it looks dope. Anyways,
man.
I don't know anything about the game. I just like the minis, but again, I'm not gonna back it. If it comes to retail, sweet. I've just got some stuff to work on. I want to get through my backlog. But when I jumped on Kickstarter, I saw the 7th Citadel Oh, I don't know if you've heard me talk about a game called The Seventh Continent, which is kind of highly regarded as like one of the best solo/co-op games. The only knock on it is A, it was super expensive, and B, they only did a Kickstarter and then you couldn't buy it afterwards.
Oh, wow.
So MJ said Kickstarter is a whole new level of hobby sinkhole for money. So true. I got a mate who spent $3,000 on Kickstarter projects 6 months leading up to his wedding because he knew after he got married, he probably wouldn't be allowed. He's still, he got married 3 years ago. He's still waiting on 2 of those Kickstarters. So,
wow.
But anyway, the seventh Citadel is a like redone version of the Seventh Continent that features around like a post-apocalyptic medieval fantasy world, as opposed to, I think, Seventh Continent was Exploration Island type thing.
Yep.
And it's just one of those games where you've got a heap of random cards, so you put like tiles down and you actually explore this place differently every time. It's just phenomenal. It's just a phenomenal game. Anyway, I was like, I didn't even know it was out. It's got 8 days to go. And I'm like, do I do this? 8 days left? It's raised 3.5 million Australian dollars.
Jesus Christ.
And that is basically entirely off the back of how good the Seventh Continent was. And I think also it's that Games Workshop model where they know now that when Seventh Continent says it's limited release, it's actually limited release and you can't get it again.
Yeah.
So now everyone's just like, well, we've got no choice. We get it now or we don't get it at all. So it's 115 for the collector's edition, which seems insanely good, to be honest.
It does. Like, that's what you expect to pay for, like, the normal version.
Mm-hmm. And when people backed the Seventh Continent and resold it brand new, it was about $400, and people were paying. If you saw it for under $400, you snapped it up.
Wow.
So the fact that this is 115, I mean, this tempts me. Me.
Yeah. And it's got 8 days left.
8 days left, so I've got a good solid week to just sit on it, think about it. I mean, no, not even for 115. I'm probably going to buy it right now. Probably going to back the bish now. I don't know when it comes out, when it's released, all that kind of stuff. Estimated delivery. Okay. May 2022.
Ooh. Yep.
That's tricky. That's like a set and forget.
Yeah.
And one day you have a dope game at your door, I guess.
Pleasant surprise. Yeah.
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 I almost think that means they've basically just done the concept art. Although, no, it actually looks pretty fleshed out. So, I don't know, dude. Anyways, there's one more game. It's called Frostpunk. I think you'd like this, Shane. It's a $1 million AUD.
Frostpunk. That's a game on Steam.
Is it?
Yeah, you build around a furnace.
Yeah, yep, correct. That's this. It's Frostpunk, the board game. There you go.
Man, Frostpunk is such a fucking cool game. I love my like city sims and like strategy games like that. Dude, and it's such a cool game.
I knew you'd love it. You even know what the actual the game's based off. Anyway, it's based off that. There's a giant furnace in the middle. Heat is everything. It's a survival apocalyptic kind of game.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So if you could just go ahead and buy this one, and I'll buy Seventh Continent. We've got a few board game apps covered.
True. That's true. Very true.
Core pledge is 125 AUD. Pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Not bad.
You get the board game, Frostpunk the board game, the Frostlander expansion, all unlocked stretch goals, and pre-shading for the generator tower. So this board game actually has hard plastic terrain.
Oh, wow.
Buildings and whatnot. So I think you'd probably actually just completely skip the 124 pledge and go to the $210 pledge.
Oh, yeah.
Which is pre-shading for the miniatures expansion, which is like, I don't know, it looks like 10 to 15 buildings.
Yeah.
It's all pre-shaded, which is basically, it's like a zenithal, it's all monochrome.
Yeah.
It's kind of good enough to play the game from what I've seen. You know what would help? I'll link this in the Discord for people.
Slap it in there, and after this I'll have a gander.
Yeah, I think you'd froth that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, you know what? I haven't hit Kickstarter in a while. I mean, occasionally I hit it up, but there's not much on there. But it just seemed to be absolutely flooded with good stuff right now.
Yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
By the way, I don't know if you asked me, but I'm drinking.
I did, but you never answered.
Yeah, sorry. So all through our last episode, I was drinking the Banter IPAs just because I just can't find a better beer right now.
Okay.
To be honest, it's tough to split between the Banter IPA and the Banter Strong Pale Ale.
Yeah.
They're both really good, but I've got this newer beer by Banter called Hazy, which is the mango, passion fruit, and orange flavored. Flavored isn't the right word because it's an afterthought. Those flavors.
Yeah.
I don't want you to think that it's all those fruity kind of things. It's an IPA.
Sounds with it.
Yeah, I know. I really sold it as like a fruit punch, but it's not. It's just an IPA. 6%. Okay, it's not bad. But it does have like a fresher aftertaste, so it's good. It's real good.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah.
I can't really get around like fruity beers. Like,
I feel that.
Yeah. I don't know. Like if something says like, this is a mango flavored beer, I would like give it a hard pass.
Yeah.
Okay. I just like, but if it has like maybe subtle like notes like aftertaste kind of thing, like maybe I would, but I wouldn't go out of my way, that's for sure.
Yeah, fair enough. If I were to try, like, I would have to trick you to drink this then probably, but I would just say, hey Shane, it's an IPA. You drink it, you'd be like, oh yeah, it is, and I'll be like, and if you notice, there's actually subtle mango, citrus, passion fruity kind of notes to it. You'd be like, you know what? Yeah.
Okay. I mean, like, I'd try anything. Like, if you just gave me a stubby and said, try this, like, I would.
Would you, though? Knowing that I have access to the knowledge of beers like Batch, coffee, and blackcurrant, and I just hand you a beer and I say, Shane, try this, and I got a cheesy grin on my face.
Yeah. Like, as long as the can isn't already open, dude, then I'll try it. Because I don't know what you did to it before that.
Yeah. Hey, man, maybe I know how to reseal cans. You don't know. You don't know me.
Yeah. But look, during the main episode, you mentioned that you've worn makeup in the past.
Yes.
You said you'd elaborate.
So, I don't know if you remember this, but in Geelong, there used to be a club called Club Foreplay. Maybe a bit before your time. It became... What did it become? Anyway, it became like 4 nightclubs after that. It was underground.
Oh, was that on the main drag near where Pop Culture is nowadays?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, yep. I remember that was like called Toast once.
Correct.
For like a week, and then
absolutely.
Yeah, I never went to that club while it was open. I went to like the other ones.
Did you? I bet you went to the Nash.
Yeah. I was at the Nash a bit, and then and it always ended up at Home House.
Of course.
3 a.m. Yeah.
So, for those of you who aren't from Geelong, basically for the last 20 years, there's been 2 paths you can choose in life. So, you would usually start at a pub/club, and there's a heap of them in Geelong. And you would always end up at about 3 a.m. at Home House.
It's because it was the only club open that was allowed to serve alcohol until 6 a.m.
Correct.
They had a really old liquor license, which was still valid somehow. And everyone else had to stop serving at like 3. So everyone would just migrate to Home House.
And no one wanted to go to Home House. That's the thing.
No.
Like, everyone was like, it's just for kids. Because between like 10 and 3, when everyone else was at other clubs or pubs or whatever, it almost felt like all the 16-year-olds were at Home House.
Yeah.
And it would get to 3 a.m. and it was like, look, dudes, it's call it and go home, which none of us are feeling, or head to Home House. And like, I guess we're heading to Home House. Anyway,
you got to go where the beers are flowing.
Exactly. And like, there was a few things to Home House. You could like get into a corner with a nice booth, grab yourself a few beverages. and just laugh at everyone else and yourselves.
Yeah.
But what was the point of the story? I've gone on a tangent.
I can't remember, dude.
Oh, the makeup.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So Club Foreplay, I did an underwear show there. So basically my friend was like, look, dude, we need underwear models. And 3 dudes have called in sick. And it's in 2 hours. And he was a good mate. He was like, all you got to do, right? They've got a few different types of underwear. You've just got to wear them, walk down the thing. You don't have to do like the poses or anything. You literally just walk down the thing. There's like 2 feet at the end of the, I guess you could call it a runway. It didn't look like what I thought a runway would look. The catwalk, yeah, I guess. You just got to stand there in those 2 footsteps. A light will turn green because there's like it's almost like a projector and all these different, you can't see anyone because all you can see is lights slapping you in the face. And they say that there'll be a light next to the big light that turns green. That's when you turn around and you walk out. No one's going to be looking at you. They're just looking at the underwear. And it's like an atmospheric thing. It's just, it has to be there to make them feel like they're doing something funky and hipster, you know? It's not just a nightclub.
They weren't looking at the contents of the underwear?
What's up?
Are you sure they weren't looking at the contents of the underwear?
I mean, they could have been. I mean, that wasn't my biggest concern. I was just like, I just hope because like it's, all you can see is these bright lights just slapping you in the face. And when I walked out there, I was like, all I hope is that I just don't walk off the edge. Like I can't see the ground.
Yeah.
So I hope I just make it all out of here alive. Anyways, yeah. So, and when I got there, right, they were like, okay, cool. So these are the 3 different underwears you got to wear. What we want you to do is wear this underwear under this underwear because we want to be able to sell this underwear afterwards. I'm like, well, that's disgusting.
God, that's fucked up, dude.
So I had like skinny underwear underneath the underwear.
Like a J-banger.
It was like, it was thicker than that. It was basically just like 50%, 50-50 of normal underwear. Anyways, I think I was 21 at this stage. And they're like, okay, also, we just need to lather this stuff on you that makes you look like you're evenly tanned all over. It's not a fake tan. It's just the way the light hits it. It reflects. It looks like you're all just tanned all over. I was like, well, that makes sense because I'm two-tone. I'm like, my arms, I mean, have been outside, but the rest of my body just is white.
Yes.
It's the Arctic there. So anyways, I was like, sure, whatever. So I slap on the underwear and I walk out and I make it to the end and I'm just like, this is the first time I've done anything like this. Heart's beating in my chest, absolutely terrified. Just barely see the footsteps at the end. Light turns green, like they said, turn around, walk back, all good. And then it occurs to me that I have to do this 2 more times. And there's like 10 dudes out there. I'm like, you know what? How long am I going to be here? Anyways, part of the process was I had to put like makeup on my face and stuff so that, I guess because I was like a little nerd, supposedly, I guess. Maybe they're worried about like the light hitting my oily skin. So they just like lathered me up. And I remember not quite knowing, like I remember just so much stuff was happening that night that for like 3 days I had eyeliner on and just didn't know. And when I figured it out, I just didn't know how to get it off. Anyways. So yeah. Cryptic Coroner, his mouth dripping with flies. Arkham Leper just said, I gave up makeup when I stopped wearing skirts. So, hey man, that's good. I'm glad you gave up makeup yesterday. That's good. I, for one, play netball, so I still wear skirts. But yeah, that was my makeup story.
That's, well, I'm glad you shared that. Thank you. I'll cross it off the list.
You know what? In hindsight, makeup was probably the smallest part of that story.
Yeah, dude. The fact that you were an underwear model probably trumps the wearing makeup. You could have just said you're on TV because they put like makeup on anyone that goes on TV because it stops the skin looking so reflective.
Yeah. Oh, maybe that's what it was then. I mean, I wasn't actually on TV, but there was like bulk lights hitting us. Like it was actually hot from the lights.
That's it. Yeah. Oh man, like I remember back when I was in a band playing and the lights, like you just start sweating just from the lights. They're just so fucking hot.
Yeah. Legit. It was like actual, I'm glad they lathered me up with some sort of oil because I'm going to get sunburnt from this.
True.
From these non-UV lights. MJ asked, is that why they call you Fox? And yes, the halogen lights are boiling. Yeah, they were insane. And no, that's not why they call me Fox, believe it or not. Actually, very few people know that story. Just a few select people that happen to be at Club Foreplay on that night.
Club Foreplay. Fucking
you know what? Dude. The name doesn't help the cause, does it?
No.
Yeah.
God damn. Well, yeah. I don't know where to go from that, dude.
No, only place to go is down.
Yeah. Well, look, I as always with these episodes, I like a couple of points just to talk about.
Yeah. Okay.
So, what would you change about your hobby mentality from your first couple of years into the hobby?
Are you still laughing at my Club Foreplay adventures?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of how I'm going to recover from that.
Yeah. It's spent me years trying to recover. Yeah, funny you asked that, following up from our episode that's coming out Sunday. My mentality over the last few months around hobby has shifted, and if I could go back in time to like year one me, I wouldn't say buy less stuff. I wouldn't say stop buying armies. I wouldn't say stop buying different systems. I would say stop caring about this preconceived idea of you that you have of other people, like what other people think of your models.
Yeah.
Paint models so that you can get them on the tabletop, play games, and you'll have so much more fun playing games with like fully painted armies. More so than you will care about having well-painted models. You know, if I could just take... Because it might... Like, seeing all these painted Star Wars Legion things right next to me is just like a huge motivator for me right now. And if I could just go back and say, dude, you can paint this in 6 hours if you don't care that when someone picks them up, they're going to be able to find imperfections.
Yeah.
You know? And I would be like, you saying I could do this in like 2 days? And I'd be like, hell yeah, dude. Yeah, easily. Dry brush, base coats. I didn't put second coats on any of this, dude. So, actually, that goes back to zenithal highlighting. Super important. Gives you nice smooth coats. Yep. It's easy to paint lighter colors over lighter zenithal. Anyways, yeah. That's what I would say. Stop caring because that idea I have in my head of what other people think of my models doesn't exist.
No.
Most people would look at this army and go, nice, dude. That looks cool. You know, I think that like, the people there's far less that guy in the hobby nowadays than there used to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think most people, as we've learned from our Discord users and, you know, just our hobby homies in general, is like everyone is just super awesome, super chill.
Yeah. But there's like, you get nothing out of it by putting someone down and saying their painting is bad. Like, you get nothing out of it. So why would you even bother? You know?
Yeah.
Like, why not bring someone up by saying like, you know, good work, man. Like, even if, like, you know, you can look at it and you'd be like, I can paint better than that. Like, there's always different levels, right? Like, from beginners to advanced people, there's always someone who's better than someone else.
Yeah.
But like,
there's always a bigger fish, dude.
Yeah, exactly. But like, just because you know that they're not where you are doesn't mean you should put them down for it. You should encourage them and say, good work. Like, you can... Sometimes I think, like, criticism, people give it with good intentions, right? Like, someone might say, oh, you know, good work, but, like, next time maybe try this. It's all about how you say it. Like...
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good just to say, good work, man. Keep it up. Like, you don't need to tell them what's wrong with it.
Yeah. And I think... It also comes down to what you are okay with yourself. You know, I know a few people that have told me before, you know, maybe instead of doing this, you could have done this. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? That's not the feedback I want. I just spent 6 hours on this. Maybe you could just, I mean, I guess it's my ego. I'm like, maybe just tell me what's good about it so that I feel encouraged to do it again.
Exactly.
But I'm also like, that person doesn't mean bad. They just know that if it was them, in their mindset, they're trying to get better, so they just want to know what's wrong with it. They know what's good, you know? They're experienced. They just want to know what's bad. They want you to tell them, fix this, could try this, and they're like, yeah, great idea, awesome, I didn't think of that. Yeah, I thought that was bad. I'm glad you reaffirmed that with me, you know?
Yeah. I suppose that's true.
So I think that's their mindset. I think whenever you get criticism, it's safe to assume that it's coming from a person who's fine to, like, they want criticism in their models.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like, I think the default for me is assume, unless someone asks, hey guys, what could I do better? I look at models and I can always find stuff that's good. And like,
of course,
even if it's their first time painting, the cool thing about mini painting is that only that person could have painted that model exactly like that.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of art, I guess. You know, you can pick up one of these crappy rebels that are done. Pick my worst one. You could have all 6 billion people try and paint the same colors, same scheme. No one's going to get it exactly the same as I did. Only I could do this one.
Yeah.
You know?
It's yours. It's unique, you know?
Yeah. That's what I froth about art. In fact, oh man, I wish I had done all my blues like this. Anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Good question. I forget what you asked me, but good question.
Well, I mean, I'll answer my question.
I was going to ask you your question, but I can't exactly remember what you asked me because I went on such a tangent with it.
No.
Yes, what would you go back? Yeah. It was like half an hour ago, exactly.
Yeah.
What would you go back and tell year one version of you what you know now to them back then?
That about sums it up, dude.
Yeah.
I would encourage Shane to buy other brands of paint than just Games Workshop paint. Because, like, I look at my collection and I have got like 130 something pots of GW paint, right? I've got almost one of everything because that's all that I was exposed to, you know, like our local was the Games Workshop. And of course they're going to sell their paint, right? I don't blame them for that because that's good business practice. But I would watch YouTube videos and admittingly most of the time it was Duncan. And again, he's using Games Workshop paint.
Of course.
But I wish I had have bought some of these other colors that I'd seen earlier.
Yeah.
Like, it's not until now. And, like, these paints go a long way, especially if you use a wet palette. Especially if you use a wet... Like, I've got paints that, like, I've used heaps and I've still only used, like, half a pot.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's paints that I'll always keep using, like Mephiston Red. Like, that's my favourite red. But, like, there's other paints which I've started experimenting with, like a lot of Vallejo stuff that I wish I had have started with earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, tricky too because locally there wasn't heaps available to us. It's only been in this last year that Guff has sort of like gotten a lot of other brands.
Yeah.
And like recently I've just really, I've kind of had a color in my head that I want to use and I've got the GW paint for it and it's like a perfect match.
Yeah.
And then like I find like Citadel paints are actually really, really good. And I feel like because their price point, people kind of just hate on them.
Yeah.
Like,
but even then, though, like $6, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Like, especially how long it lasts. Like, with your wet palette, I use their Citadel texture applicator, which is like a little spoon thing, right? And like, I'll scoop that out. Like, I'm using like fuck all, like a pinhead size drop right on my wet palette. And it will last me like all night if I'm just painting, obviously, something small, right? But like it just goes for miles. Like,
yeah, it really does. It is funny. I mean, like I don't have my opinion isn't valuable in this regard because I don't paint tons. But I always do find it funny that people that paint maybe as much as I do complain about Citadel paints and the cost per mil versus like Vallejo, which is it's minuscule. We're talking dollars. When they're never even going to use more than 50% of that paint bottle. So it's like, well, I mean, when we're talking price point, what are we really? Don't talk price per mil if you're not using every mil, you know?
No, that's right.
But at the same time, I wish I had, like, there's some phenomenal, I love using the Vallejo metals, the Vallejo Model Airs, because you could just strap straight on a palette. It's almost like a contrast paint for metallics, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, interesting. Yeah. We were exposed only to Citadel early, and we thought, we're painting 40k stuff. we've got to use Warhammer paints, surely, right? That's how it works.
Yeah, but then I even tried to apply the same logic to my Flames of War stuff. I bought Flames of War paint, and I'm like, it wasn't until like a week later, I'm like, I have these same color. Maybe like the grey, like the German grey and all that was slightly different, but like I had blacks, I had greens, I had tans, I had skin tones, and I'm like, I went and bought it all because it's like Flames of War branded, right?
Yeah.
I was just like, why? Why do I do that?
Yeah. I think it's because, like, I wish a lot of some painting tutorials do this. I know I said do. I'm sorry. But I feel like a lot of them say, use this paint, then this paint, and then this paint. Yeah. And that's how you get this nice transition. Yeah. I wish more of them would say, like, teach you more, I guess, about the properties of the paint and be like, use a cooler red, something like this from Vallejo or this from Citadel, like to give you an idea. So if you've got a P3 red, you're like, actually, this does look a lot like that Citadel paint he just mentioned or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
I have used, MJ just posted in our Discord a paint range compatibility chart on dakadaka.com. I have used this so much for exactly what I just mentioned, and which is why she posted it.
I've never seen this before.
Oh, man. I see this. This is awesome. It's really, really good. Yeah. And it's like when they say, I washed it in Agrax Earthshade, and I'm like, crap, I don't have any. But then I'm like, well, you know what? I do have Strong Tone. Strong Tone, which is the Army Painter equivalent. So I'm like, sweet, that's on the chart, you know? Or when I'm like, I need an orange paint, and I don't think I have a good one. And then I'm like, oh, you know what? No, I do. I have Towelite Orca, because I've got a billion Citadel paints, just like you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a really good chart that MJ just posted there.
Nice.
It helps when someone says, I'm using this paint. And you're like, well, I don't have P3 paints.
Yeah.
So you just like have a little, does this have P3? It does. Privateer press. Not many, but I think a couple. It's got a couple.
Yeah.
But, you know, you are right. It is good to use other paints because they've got other properties to them, different consistencies. Yeah. I wish I had have not gone, instead of having 200 Citadel paints, I would have liked to have just 100 and then like 50 Vallejo and 20 P3 and then like 20 Army Painter. Have a play around.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I started using Flames of War Black, which I'm pretty sure is just like a rebranded Vallejo Black. But I don't know, I just love it so much more than Abaddon Black, you know?
Yeah.
Just goes on better. Has a better final effect. It's not as like shiny. What's the bloody word? Not a satin.
Satin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I like, when I'm doing blacks, I like the satin.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas some people don't. They like the more matte finish, or you might find some colors in some ranges are a bit more chalky and some are more satin, some are more glossy, you know?
Yeah.
But you only know that once you start playing around with them. So, yeah.
That's it, dude.
That's a good tip. That should have been in your hobby tips.
Well, I thought of it when I was writing the tips. I'm like, oh, well, this is kind of a tip, but it's kind of not a tip. So let's just slap it in for the old Beers and Banter.
True.
Yeah.
Was there anything else I was supposed to mention on Beers and Banter? Sometimes I'm like, we'll talk about that next week. And I'm like, I forget all the time. By the time next week rolls around.
True.
I feel like the makeup story is fine. I think we're set.
Yeah.
I've no further research into the Primaris endowment, so I mean, lots of further research, but no further results. So
no, which just requires more research, dude.
Exactly, dude. I'm working on them tirelessly. My fingers have been worked to the bone.
I bet.
Typing, searching for this stuff.
Yeah,
but I mean, yeah. I mean, look, to be honest, Beers and Banter could go for 3 hours because
it could.
Once you put a beer in our hands and each other in front of us.
Yeah.
I just want to quickly say MJ says she prefers Vallejo to GW and $1 cheaper per pot adds up. GW washes, though, are amazing. That said, I have heaps of both.
Yeah.
Great points. I'm 50-50. There's some weeks where I'm like, oh, Vallejo, why do I stop using you? And then some weeks where I'm like, oh man, for Citadel, I've forgotten how good you are. SMS, Foggy Highway said is okay. Through an airbrush, straight out the pot. There's no better, to be honest. So there's all these brushes. No, paints for different applications. So
yeah. There is a different paint for every job, really.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, we best skedaddle, I suppose.
We best.
All right. Thanks everyone for
everyone
tuning
hanging
in.
around.
Yeah. No, you say it. There you go.
No, you say it, dude.
No, you say it. You hang up first.
Thank you to all our listeners who have stuck around for the Beers and Banter. Just a reminder, you guys, we do live episodes first Wednesday of every month, 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Daylight savings has been a big thing in Discord for the last couple of hours.
And will continue to be as long as it exists.
But Melbourne time, 7 p.m. If that's the easier way to think of it, just Google what time is it in Melbourne, and if it's 7 p.m, we're on.
Is that if you type in Australian Eastern Standard Time, will it not differentiate? Oh, of course.
I don't believe so because
all right.
Queensland is still using Standard Time, I think, and we're using Daylight Savings Time.
Interesting. So
it's fucked.
Oh man, so much more research is required. Yeah. Because are we Universal Time plus 10 or whatever it is?
Yeah. Is it GMT 10 plus 10?
Yeah. Sorry, GMT's plus 10. Yeah. So are they plus 10 as well?
Well, they're probably like plus 9 now because are we plus 11?
No,
we should have spent more time talking about this.
We should. You know what? We'll do more research. And
Rory has it right there. We are now GMT plus 11.
Are we really? Yeah, but how is someone Googling, if they search up, I guess if they go time zone in Melbourne, oh, we are plus 11. Okay. Oh god, that's a headache. That's next week's episode that we won't talk about.
Yeah.
That we'll forget to talk about.
Exactly.
All right, fam. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for listening to us ramble about whatever we just talked about.
Thank you, everyone. Illy.